Hi there, and welcome back to your Daily Market Podcast. My name is Maryklaire Pelk, and I'm the Director of Operations for the GCU Finance and Economics Club. I'm here today with Charlie Hurst and our special guest, Ella Turner. Why don't you guys go ahead and give us a quick introduction?
Hi, everybody. I'm Charlie Hurst. I'm also the Director of Operations here at GCU, and I'm a freshman.
My name is Ella Turner. I'm a sophomore here at GCU. I am the president of the Finance and Economics Club and currently a GCU Money Mentor.
Great. We are so happy to have you on. Today, as per usual, we're going to take a look at how the market performed, as well as talk about Ella's experience here at GCU, what she's done for the club, and talk about our topic for today, which is the time value of money. So overall, the markets looked good today. The S&P was up 1.18%, the NASDAQ was up 1.96%, and the Dow was up 0.66% today. So looks like we are in the green today, which is very hopeful looking back on what happened the last few weeks. It's definitely great to see some green instead of red, but
we like green.
We do like green. But yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've done for the club, how you've been working, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I'll start with Finance and Economics Club. So I came in last year not really knowing what to expect, but immediately everyone just said, get involved however you can. And I went to the first club fair and I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much going on. But immediately found, I think it was Jack Edlin. You guys know Jack. He was in finance and econ at the time. Super kind, shook his hand. They were like, you guys, you got to come to I was with my friends at the time. They said, you got to come check it out. Come to this event. So I showed up, club kickoff, early September. And then ever since then, it's just been this great community of, hey, this is how you grow professionally. But then also this is a community where we're going to Topgolf this Friday.
Yeah.
So definitely just a good place to come and be around like-minded people. In my speech the other night, I talked about how it's really the A-teamers, and I truly mean that, the 1% of the 1%. So it's just been a great place to grow professionally, but also just as a person.
Yeah. So where did you start, and then how did you progress up to the role?
Okay, rules-wise?
Yeah.
Okay, so I started off as a mentee actually in the Smith. So I think it wasn't on purpose. I applied for FPA, so I had kind of a weird route, but started as a mentee in the Smith, went to FPA, but then also did marketing for finance and econ, and then ultimately ended up being director of marketing, and then moved up to treasurer or vice president of financials, as we call it. And then I got the call asking if I would be interested in senior vice president, and then I'll be stepping into president this next semester. So
it's a big congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and to touch on what you said about the community, I think that's probably one of the best things that I've had since I got to college as a freshman. I think it was awesome stepping into the LDP and learning so much from all the upperclassmen. And then now this semester having a community where we're going and doing events like every single week and just having fun and building new relationships.
Yeah, Charlie and I both started out in the LDP, and that was for me personally, it was a great experience. And it's super cool how it's easy to progress up in the club. And now I'm helping put on the LDP for next semester. So it's just really cool how everything comes around 100%. Full circle.
Real quick, just to spin it back on you guys. Do you guys just want to say like maybe one takeaway or anything that you took from LDP? I think you guys are like the most talented group of individuals I've been around. So I was inspired coming into LDP, and then just to see you guys, running the show when you were freshmen. You are still freshmen, but do you guys have anything that you took from LDP? Any pieces of advice you would give anyone?
Yeah, I really appreciate the compliment too. But I think the one thing I took away is really just like maturity. Like stepping in, going from living in Illinois to now living a 4.5-hour flight away from home.
Yeah.
I've matured so much, and it's like the best thing that I've had is just building relationships and meeting like my best friends now. And then obviously the maturity part is like the biggest factor.
Yeah, I would certainly say learning how to better make connections, because I kind of just stuck with the same people all the way through high school. Right. And then being thrown into LDP, especially as a girl when most of the other members were guys, it was like, I'm going to have to learn how to make these connections and stuff like that. And that's something that our finance club does a really good job of. So that was a great takeaway for me.
Yeah. Great. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to steal the show, you guys.
I don't know. So another question that we wanted to talk about was like, what made you choose finance? What's the passion for you and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So I guess I have a little bit of a funny story of where I started, but in high school when they make you fill out what are your skills? What are your talents? Okay, this is what you're going to be. So I took that, and it actually said financial advisor. I said, I don't really know what that is. So I looked up what's the highest paying job, and it said anesthesiologist. And I was like, boom, let's go. Okay, that's what So obviously I'm not studying to be an anesthesiologist, but I did take that. After I decided, okay, maybe that's not the most realistic. I went back and I said, okay, what does a financial advisor do? But ultimately, at the end of the day, I always knew that my end goal was that I wanted to own something. I remember in that same class, my teacher was like, okay, that's maybe not the most realistic, but like, what do you want? And I said, well, I just want to own a business. And I don't think at the time I realized that in finance, you can own your own business. And, you can build this book from the ground up, and that is your business. No one can take that from you.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's sort of where I started. I am a financial planning major. I don't know if we said that already or not, but not general finance major, financial planning. So definitely going to pursue my own book at some point. But
So what does owning a business mean to you? What does that look like? What's the appeal for that?
why do I want to own my own business? Well, I am a very independent person. I think just the idea of not having to answer to anyone at the end of the day was originally why I came into it. So yeah, I'd say just very independent, not the typical 9 to 5. Again, that's super long road. That's not what I'm going to do right after school, but yeah, hopefully that answers.
How does your faith play into that too?
Into pursuing
finance and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So that's honestly something that I've been going back and forth with a lot. So thank you for asking that, because I think there's this big dilemma of, okay, there's so many, I have so many friends here that are going to pursue missions, or I'm going to do YWAM, or I'm going to the Kona base. So I've thought about that, but I think at the end of the day, the verse that I keep coming back to is it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. I don't know exactly where that's at in the word, but I'm sure you guys have heard that before. And I think just the idea of, okay, I can go into an office and just be a light to people that have money, because if God literally tells us that these are the people that are it's hardest for them to get into the kingdom of heaven, why would I not go out and just, maybe it's not something where I can talk about my faith every day, and maybe I can't, if I don't go and work at a Blue Trust or John Moore or a Christian firm, maybe I can't open up with prayer, but I do have the ability. A lot of advisors have told me they're going to know by your fruit. So I think just being a person of integrity, honesty, kindness, love, compassion, all the fruits of the Spirit. Yeah. I think if I just take that in every single day, and there's obviously going to be hard days, and it's not always going to be easy to live out my faith in the world of finance, but I hope that answers your question. I think really going at it with the mindset of, okay, if that's who God says it's the hardest for them to enter the kingdom of heaven, why don't I go at them? Yes, helping them financially, but maybe they don't know I'm helping them spiritually as well at first.
Yeah. And I think something really cool, obviously we talked about money mentors a little bit, and you're directly practicing what you just talked about, helping guide students right now. And I think that's super cool. And do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, just what Money Mentors is? Yeah, for sure. So Money Mentors is a peer-to-peer financial coaching service offered here at GCU. So Dr. Carbon started it. Dr. Carbon and Dr. Clady started it over this summer. We are partnered with Charles Schwab. So shout out Schwab. But really, it's just a program where students can come in, and it's 100% peer-to-peer, 100% confidential. So they can come in with budgeting problems, credit problems, debt problems, student loans, you name it. Anything that I think is hard for students to talk about with their friends, they'll come and see us. And even at the beginning, I don't know how many times people have been like, I would come in and see you, but like, you don't want to know my problems. Like, they're so bad. And they're like, okay, just come in. And they're like, and they'll start to tell me, and they'll mask it a little bit. And I don't know if you guys want to talk, we mentioned before this, maybe talking about the psychology behind it, but so many people will come in and mask their problems, and they'll be like, well, I'm actually fine. I just spent an extra $100. Then it's like, oh, I'm actually in X amount of dollars of credit card debt. It's like, okay, we left that out. But I think to answer your question, Money Mentors is just a program where students can come in peer-to-peer, 100% confidential, and they walk out with a smile on their face, or they walk out booking another appointment. I've had a lot of kids that'll book follow-up appointments. So
that's awesome. It's so unique. I have not really heard about like any other colleges doing something like that.
Yeah.
And it's super beneficial because you have that faith aspect of it too. And I'm sure you guys bring that in so much in your meetings. And I think that's just super beneficial for students.
Yeah. The faith aspect part of it. Not everyone does this. I don't think. We all sort of run our meetings individually. It's 100% confidential, so I don't know what everyone does in their own meetings, but I really try and start each meeting with, okay, what are your short-term goals? What are your midterm goals? And what are your long-term goals? And then sort of tie in a faith. Okay, what does that mean? Are you going to tithe in the future? Just start to get them thinking about that, stuff that they maybe wouldn't think about on their own. But then also just usually working in a prayer at the end if I can, especially if someone's coming in. I had a senior graduating last December, and we ended in prayer just kind of as her send-off. She was struggling a little bit financially, so it was cool to end in that way. Whereas if you weren't at a Christian school, I don't know if you'd be allowed to, or if it'd be easy to do that. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that goes exactly back to what I was saying about, once you step into a role with your future business, you're already leading people with your faith through the finance
100%.
club and in Money Mentors. And I think that that's just amazing.
Yeah.
So what does you kind of touched on a little bit, but do you want to walk through what you do exactly in the meetings? Like what you talk to students about, what's the common things that you hear and all that?
100%. So students, when they book an appointment, they can select what they're coming in for. I will say that probably 80 to 90% of the students that I meet with, it's a budgeting, spending, some sort of savings issue. So I can walk through what that typical meeting would look like.
Yeah.
I mean, the other ones are a little bit niche, but so I come in, we do short-term, mid-term, long-term goals. They have to sign a non-disclosure. We talk about how everything's confidential. And then I usually pull out a time value money calculator. So I'll say, and then for anyone who's not familiar with that, the whole idea is your dollar today has more value than your dollar tomorrow because of compound interest, because of time in the market. I always say, I think people that come in to meet with me get sick of me, but I'm like, time in the market beats timing in the market. And I just beat the dead horse, Anyways, all that to say, I'll say, okay, what do you think you could ideally save right now? Let's say I usually try and aim for 10%, but obviously more is better, especially in college. Every student is different. Some people have their parents paying for college, and that looks completely different than someone who's just trying to get by, who has a student worker job, who's paying tuition, who probably has student loans. But I say, what can you reasonably save? Okay. And then we'll put that into the calculator. Let's say you did this for 65 years, and then we actually have a chart. So I'll do the time value money calculator, but we also have a chart that I usually like to pull out. And I believe the statistic is if you have $1 today and you're about 20, when you retire at 65, it could be potentially $85 if you put it in the market. So I think that's really eye-opening to students. That's something that I really try and drive home every single time. Even if they don't come in for a budgeting problem, I usually work that in some way, somehow, because I think that's just something that students don't know, and we aren't necessarily taught in school unless, like us, we have finance classes. But again, off of that, the whole idea is what we do now matters, and spending habits, saving habits in college. I think a lot of people have this mindset of, oh, it's just my 20s, I'm just trying to have fun, but your 20s really make the rest of your life. I know my dad always told me that growing up, and even still to this day, your 20s is what will separate you in your career, but also in your saving and your money habits. So the whole idea of $1 could be $88. I think that really changes. Okay, am I going to go get a $8 to $9 coffee? Probably not, if I know what it's going to be in the future. I mean, I know I still struggle with that sometimes. I'm sure you guys are
definitely
the spring breaks, the trips, all the things add up. But I think another point that I really try and drive home is it's all about moderation. I don't want anyone to leave an appointment with a money mentor and think, okay, I'm never spending money again. I'm just going to sit in my dorm room, do my homework. I'm just going to buy groceries from Hurst and never have any fun. I think it's just, okay, no, you actually could maybe have more fun if you did it responsibly, because then you can save for a more fun spring break trip with your friends rather than going out to In-N-Out every single weekend. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But yeah.
Some of the stuff you touched on too, like the time value money calculator. We always talk about a compound interest calculator.
Yes.
And I always talk about how your $200 that you invest a month, it could turn into $1 million in 30 years. And it's really that power that you have with these calculators. Super easy to use. And you really realize, okay, if I just put in $200 a month, I'll be a millionaire by the time I'm 50.
Yeah. It's so
insane.
simple, and people think I'm lying. I'm like, no, I promise.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't prove it to them because they got to play the long game, but 100%.
So we do talk a lot about compound interest and then also time value money. Are those the same thing, or are they different? Genuine question.
So compound interest, the whole idea is your interest is earning interest on interest on interest. So the idea of time value money is the biggest, I'd say the biggest thing that we have on our side as college students, I don't know what that word I'm looking for is the time. My parents could go and put money in the stock market, but they maybe have 20, sorry to shout out my parents, 20 years until retirement. I don't know. But we have 45. So the
basically,
more time you have in the market, the more compound interest.
Yeah. So time value of money is the action, and then the interest is the concept type of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I know what you're asking.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So we usually do a lot of talking about budgeting and saving and all that sort of stuff. So do you have any specific tips or mistakes to to steer clear from? Anything like that you commonly see?
I would say the biggest piece of another thing is we can't say advice. I think I told you guys this before. We can only guide students. So the biggest piece of guidance I guess I would give is really just look at your finances and open an Excel sheet. And just one thing that I'll also do with students if they come in with a pretty big spending problem is I'll say, okay, pull up your bank statement. What did you spend this day? And we'll literally type it out and add up every category. So I think if you can do that, just look at where your money's going. That would be my first step. Look at where it's going and then say, okay, maybe what part of this wasn't super reasonable. Maybe I spent, and this sounds like a crazy number, but like it's real. Like maybe I spent $500 eating out this month. Okay, that can't happen next month. And I think if you just write it out and you actually know where you're at, I'd say the biggest thing is just know where you're at. And then, I mean, from there, investment accounts, Roth IRAs. I mean, you can go down this thing, but I'd say the first step is just really know where you're at. Cause I think some people are like, oh, I'm fine. Like, I don't even want to start. I got it under control, but it's one of those things where you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think it's ignorance or just like they don't want to know type of situation?
I'd say probably don't want to know. I mean, I think a lot of kids subconsciously know what they're spending, but don't want to add it up. But then again, I mean, I've sat down before. I remember first semester of my freshman year, I sat down and I was like, oh, wow, that was 2x what I thought it was going to be. So, I mean, a little bit of both.
And I think another thing that factors in too is an honesty part. I think a lot of students probably, when they spend money, they're like, they get nervous and they don't want to add it up because they're scared of what the number's going to be. I think that's probably one of the
they'd rather stay blind.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's easy. I don't know. We talked about Dave Ramsey a little bit before this, but I think he is the one who does the cash budget. You know, when you actually take money out of your account and you put it in envelopes. I think it's so easy just to swipe a card, and I don't follow the cash budget, but I mean, maybe you do need to go to that extreme if you have a horrible spending problem. So it's different for everyone. But yeah, I do think it's easy just to be sort of ignorant and, oh, I just have this little piece of plastic that just gets me putting clothes and I can go to Fashion Square and go to the movies. But yeah, I'd say a little bit of ignorance as well.
Yeah. Any other things you'd like to add on of guidance or anything like that?
Guidance? No, I'd just say start now. I mean, time is the biggest factor that we have in our favor.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just encourage anyone listening, like, just go today, write down your expenses, think about opening a brokerage account, just start today, because I think it's one of those things where it's like, even just a couple years pushing it off, that's that time value money concept. Those are just years lost. So you're not just losing money, but you're losing the opportunity cost of that money as well. So
I have a question. So when you just mentioned a brokerage account.
Yes.
When you sit down with a student, do you usually guide them with a brokerage account or something like a Roth IRA, or if their job offers it, a 401k?
Which one would I lean towards? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So that's something where we have to be very careful. Like, we're actually not allowed to say, like, I can't guide someone to go to Schwab or Vanguard. I can list out the facts and say, this is what I know. But this is a little bit open-ended to answer your question. I try and get the answer out of them. That's something that we learned in our coaching. Ask so many good intentional questions. Like, they should be talking more than you to get all the facts out. And I think usually once they say the facts, then they sort of give themselves the right answer. If that makes sense. So if you know how to ask the right questions, I think they'll come up with the answer on their own.
Okay.
In what sort of situations do you typically see students go for a brokerage when compared to a Roth?
Yeah. So you can have a Roth within a brokerage account. Mm-hmm. You're saying when would they not open a Roth IRA? Mm-hmm. I always guide, not advise, to open a Roth, just because the whole idea is that money, you've already paid taxes on it, so it's growing tax free. I mean, again, that's that whole idea of we have so much time on our hands. So I haven't had a student that's like been anti Roth IRA at all. I think, again, and once you ask the right questions and you just state the facts, they always lean towards that. Yeah.
Great. Any other questions?
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much for your input. This has been great. This about wraps up our episode for today. I hope that you have something to take away.